Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and another 787 for you guys. I was excited to put out an update for the Qatari 787-8, but I'm even more excited to bring you today the -9 variant. This is for everyone that didn't see that update. This is the improvements I've made, essentially. The changes I've made to that model. So I added in your slats the leading edge and the Fowler flaps that you have at the trailing edge, along with the spoilers that also act as inboard ailerons, and your outboard ailerons are also in there. I've shaped the trailing edge as much as I wanted, and I've done an approximation of the landed version of the raked wingtips, because in flight I think they curve actually much more than I've shown in this. But for now I think I'm just going to leave it like that. What other changes I've made? I've done the full trimmed out, or the full trimmed out version of the horizontal stabilizer, trimmed all the way down. The elevators have been added to the horizontal stabilizer. When the aircraft is actually using this horizontal stabilizer, it would be trimmed much more flat, essentially. What else have I done? Well, I've done the Qantas livery, obviously. So I think I did a decent approximation. It's a nice livery. It's quite plain. I like it. It's very simple. So it says Qantas up here in black block lettering. This is a capital N actually, but I just wanted it to be clear what letter it was, so I just wrote it like that. It says Spirit of Australia in gray lettering up here. You've got the Aussie flag there. Obviously the real one has a small Union Jack and Southern Cross, but you can't really fit that in on this. There's the registration in black there. And you got the rails for the Fowler flaps here at the trailing edge. And then sort of the big thing about the Qantas livery, you've got the tail. So the 787-9 has a different livery to anyone I've done before. I did at one point do the Qantas livery on an A380, which was really nice because there was so much space to do all the details. But on the 787, there's this gray bit you can see right here. It's like a grayish, silverish color, and I just added that in, but it was hard to reconcile with the white paint they did at the front of the vertical stabilizer, but also the metallic bit that always is at the front of the leading of the horizontal or vertical stabilizer. Yeah, it's an interesting livery. This gray bit here, it's growing on me, but I'm not sure I love it yet. The kangaroo, I did an approximation of. I'm not very good at this block art thing, but I did my best to give us sort of, an idea of what's there. And I think it came out all right. Like, you can tell what airline it's supposed to be, especially given it says Qantas right there. But yeah. So this aircraft is new to the Qantas fleet. It's operating the longest route that they do. I don't know. It's one of the longest routes in the world right now, Perth to London. It's, I think, somewhere in the range of like 17-hour flight, maybe longer. And it's the longest range version of the 787 available. Also, it's the middle stretch, so there's also a -10 and -8 variant, which are shorter is longer and shorter respectively. But this has the longest range and carries the middle capacity. Because the -10 was not, I don't think, originally planned, but there was demand for it, so they added it. Though it's more of a high capacity, shorter range. It's even shorter range than the -8 variant. So it's an interesting aircraft. And the 787s, they're all coming in and they're replacing the 767s and the 777-200 variants. Specifically the Dash 200. The Dash 300 is still a different and aircraft to the 787, and it's definitely being bought still. But the Dash 200 variant, it's starting to be retired. Yeah, this is an interesting aircraft, quite revolutionary, and it's interesting how popular it's proven to be in the end. I never flew Qantas internationally when I lived in Australia, but I've heard good things about it, and I've talked to people who flew it. It's sort of expensive, though, and it's part of the One World Alliance, so it's not as, I suppose, as big an alliance as Star Alliance or even Skytrade or whatever it is that Delta's part of. So it's a funny one. Obviously, Pride of Australia, the national carrier, but yeah, and it's funny. I almost miss that Qantas on their A380s they paint like a red triangle here. It's quite distinctive and very interesting looking. But their 787s, they haven't painted that on there. Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's pretty much time to move into the aircraft and have a look inside. I'll show you a quick look at the one with the landing gear put down there, so you can see. That's what it looks like in this livery if you have the landing gear down. Pretty simple aircraft. And I guess it's time to go inside. That would be the main entrance, probably when it's at a jetway, but I'm going to use this entrance over here. So moving in, let's enter through the front entrance. You've got the jump seats for the crew members. You got 3 in the front. Moving forward, you've got a galley and a lavatory. Pretty simple up here. And right up front, you've got the flight deck. So the yokes that you'd see on a Boeing aircraft. The 787 actually has a heads-up display, throttle levers and armrests there, some jump seats. That's the cockpit, basically, and forward galley and lavatory over here. So right here in the main entrance area, you can see the entrance to the flight crew rest area. So this would be for the second flight crew, and I don't know how many flight crews are actually on this aircraft, but it would be for the supplementary flight crews. Because it is such a long flight, you do have to give them time to rest and recuperate while flying. And the shifts are such that you couldn't have one flight crew do it all. Up here you've got the coat hanger and coat closet, and you've got a lavatory. Very basic, it's just berths up here in the 787, I believe. The 777 has a berth and a seat, but I think the 787 doesn't have a seat. Going down and out, we'll say enter and go towards business class. It's a 1-to-1 configuration business class. It's an interesting business class, and it looks actually quite nice. So it's not the sort of angled business class you get with a herringbone. I guess that's what it's called, herringbone configuration, where it's diagonal. It is a lie flat bed that faces straight ahead, and then in the middle they're offset like that. It's quite a nice business class configuration, and this aircraft is quite business class heavy, interestingly enough, and I think that's to do with the route it takes. You've got more jump seats over here, a galley, and what I assume is a a closet on the real aircraft, though it's not marked on Seat Guru, so I'm not sure. Moving further back, there is another galley here on either side, one in the middle. Excuse me, I have a bit of a sore throat. If I sound funny, that would be why. There's a lavatory on either side, and then more business class seating. Like I said, quite business class heavy, this aircraft, and I think it's to do with the flight being such a long haul flight. I think they can charge quite a bit. I should mention, I just remembered that due to the cabin width, I've actually had to make this business class seat wider than it actually is. So obviously it's only that wide, but it would look kind of silly unless I did that. So I've just added like an arm essentially onto it. We'll stick to this side of the aircraft. You've got Economy Plus, which is a wider seat. It's 232 seating. It's quite nice looking, and it's actually not as big as I'd expect, but considering how large business class is, you'd think that Economy Plus would be quite large too, to accommodate, say, passengers willing to pay a premium for a nicer seat on such a long flight, but it seems it's quite small. Moving back, you've got Economy. There's a good video on all of this. If you're interested, you should have a look at the Wendover Productions video, and it just essentially very clearly illustrates excuse me, very clearly illustrates how little money economy class makes and how much business and premium economy makes. I mean, on certain aircraft, you can make as much money from economy as you make from a smaller premium economy, or as much money from first class, which is like 4 seats or something, as you can make from an entire economy class. Anyway, I can't explain it very well, but he goes through the statistics of it all, and you should have a look at that if you haven't already, because it's a very interesting video. Here you've got the economy, like I said. It's a simple 333 seating, the standard for the 787. It's all in-flight entertainment because of how long the flight is. You'd expect nothing less, really. You can see the wings from here. Moving back, there's the lavatories. So there are 2 in the center of the aircraft, just so passengers from here, say, don't have to travel all the way to the aft of the aircraft in order to access the lavatory. You've got more jump seats here, flanking the emergency exit row. More economy. Here at the aft of the aircraft, the fuselage does start to curve in, and it cuts into the space, so they actually have to reduce the seating by 1 seat on the outside of the aircraft. So it actually becomes a 232 again, I believe. But what's nice about this is if you can get a seat in this row, then you get actually a little extra storage space. It's a nice seat, but some people don't like it because of the proximity to the aft wall and the lavatories, of course. Not always the best place to be. Anyway, people standing right next to your seat. You got the aft lavatories, one on either side here. A galley over here, and right at the aft of the aircraft, you have a large galley. 3 more jump seats. You need quite a few crew here to cover the whole aircraft. And then, last of all, up through here, there is the crew rest area for the cabin crew. So you've got 6 beds here to cover 6 berths to cover the second shift of the cabin crew. It's completely necessary because of how long the flight is. You could not operate this flight if you didn't have a rest area for the crew. You would need to have a second crew ready to take over from this crew once I don't know when it happens, but you couldn't. I think you'd be breaking some laws regarding worker times if you didn't have spaces for the crew to rest. And there's a lot of laws regarding internal policies regarding how long a flight crew can be on deck. There was a very famous accident a few years back that was partially attributed to the fact that flight crew hours are limited, but they are a good thing overall, and they are absolutely necessary. So, that is why we have these rest areas on aircraft. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. You can take one last look at the Qantas 787-9s. Next week, or whenever the next video comes out, I'll take a break from the 787, seeing as I've just posted 2 videos on them. And I'll take a look at a narrow-body aircraft, something like the 757. And then I'll be back to another wide-body aircraft. Should be a brand new one in a brand new livery. I'm going to be sticking from now on to new liveries if I can. So for whatever aircraft I can do, I will be trying to make a new livery that I haven't already done. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, I'd love it if you guys would leave a like, leave some comment, chat with me about this project. Anyway, enjoy. I'll see you guys in the next one.